triangles, trees. The universe is an explosion of energy. At some point during that explosion, energy gained consciousness. What does that mean? That means that human beings, who, as far as I'm concerned, were created with this universe and its materials by natural processes that exist, such as evolution, are mirrors of the process. And at some point, we have to choose to continue to be. The nature of energy is outward expansion. Triangles are important because sacred geometry tells us that the development of life can be explained with shapes. The morphogenetic field tells us that these shapes exist regardless of energy, and that life containing energy follows the patterns that are paths, guidelines for development. You see, when a tree goes, it doesn't go up in a straight line, which would be the most efficient way for it to get energy. No. It has to learn to deal with wind and rain and sympathetically shedding its leaves for the smaller trees. These are natural processes that can be described with math, known as Turing patterns. Alan Turing was a scientist in the either late 1800s or early 1900s that discovered, looking at natural patterns like zebra stripes, that they actually abide to logical mathematical rules, such as algorithms that are self-sustaining, like the Da Vinci sequence: 0, 1, 1, 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, and so on. I think that if the system that is responsible for the individual within it is abiding to blueprints, that we should abide to the same blueprints. Now, if the morphogenetic field was created as an existence of the Big Bang, that would insinuate that the blueprints were left by the universe. Therefore, we should follow them. There are two logical paths pointing towards emulating the natural patterns that exist in the world, and I don't see one that says we shouldn't. Vibrations, like strings on a violin, create sounds that are discernible at frequencies that are determinable by human beings. And this is much like the way of the universe and life, which is that something doesn't become real until it's observable. It doesn't cross that threshold of existence until there is enough information contained in this waveform to be identifiable by the person witnessing it. String theory, although it hasn't been able to make any predictions, describes the existence of quarks and fundamental particles as basically results of waves acting in a certain way. basically. Now they say strings. I say vibrations in a fabric create waves, like gravitational waves, which interact, creating constructive interference harmony. These harmonies are quarks, particles, fundamental building blocks. So our human brains perceive things in Newtonian physics because we have to sustain our level of life by hunting and gathering and being physical. We can't exist in the subatomic world. So the physics we've created to describe this, albeit maybe accurate, aren't the actual physics that the universe abides to, which quantum physics are. Quantum physics predict things that are tested again and again and confirm the hypothesis. And we understand now that measurements affect the thing being measured. We understand now that there is a direct connection between a participation in the system and the dynamics that that system portrays. People who disagree with this are missing out because life goes on regardless. Triangles represent the mind in sacred geometry. And the mind has to identify where it is. And so the process of triangulation, since the energy world and the material world contain the space, which is where we're used to locating ourselves in, are not relevant to the mind. That's not how it works, because the mind doesn't have the same constraints, which is why you can fly in your dreams and stuff. Your mind can enter the morphogenetic fields, see the geometrical patterns that are happening beyond the veil of what the human brain has created in order to sustain the species from an evolutionary standpoint.